Discovered, the incredible moment a CEO embraced a single mom's baby, transforming their lives forever. Jenna clutched Oliver tightly, his small body cradled against her as the hum of the diner echoed around her. In Silicon Valley, dreams drifted past like the cars on the freeway, fast and unattainable. At just 28, she found herself chipping away at a low-wage job serving burgers and fries, feeling the weight of her responsibilities with each shift. The cheerful chatter of the dining customers contrasted sharply with her inner turmoil. She dreamed of giving Oliver a better life, a life free from the shackles of financial despair. Yet every moment felt like a step further away from that dream. The clinking of silverware rang louder, matching the relentless ticking of the wall clock. Could she keep this up? She loved her son fiercely, yet the constant struggle bore down on her, a gnawing anxiety consuming her every thought. As each table demanded her attention, there was a tight knot forming in her chest, whispering doubts and fears. She turned to grab the coffee pot, but her foot caught on the corner of the counter, and her world tilted. Without warning, she stumbled into the gleaming lobby of a sleek tech company next door. The sterile elegance struck her. Polished suits lined a conference table where Evan, the ruthless CEO, ran the meeting. The subtle shift in atmosphere was electric, a mix of ambition and curiosity, eyes landing on her diner uniform like an errant stain on a pristine tablecloth. The stares burned her skin. In that moment, she felt both utterly exposed and defiantly alive, like a sparrow caught in a rigid world of eagles. She wanted to leave but hesitated, not wanting to retreat in front of him. Just then, Oliver squealed, reaching out with chubby hands, oblivious to the tension in the air. Before she could make her exit, Evan extended his arms, pulling Oliver into an embrace that felt too intimate for the setting. "Adorable!" he chirped, his steely demeanor melting just a fraction. Jenna's heart raced, every insecurity clawing at her, unraveling the boundaries she had carefully constructed. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the meeting droned into monotony, Jenna's mind raced. What if this moment turned into something? Could she navigate these corporate waters? Questions circled like vultures in her head. Were they looking down on her? Using her? The disparity gnawed at her, igniting a stubborn refusal to be humiliated. Yet darkness loomed as she caught whispers of a brewing scandal initiated by a rival. The very opportunity she clung to might vanish overnight. Her resolve stiffened, a surge of anger blending with desperation. This kid deserved a shot at life, and she would not let anyone take that away. Maybe I could find allies, she thought, as sweat trickled down her back. The tension spiked. Could she trust Evan, or would he, shackled by his own privilege, fail to grasp the depth of her struggle? Their lives had collided in this moment, but what followed could either pull them together or tear them apart. The walls felt as if they were closing in, and with Oliver's laughter echoing in her ears, the stakes rose. Her heart thundered as her moment of truth approached. Would she find the strength to fight back, or would fear silence her voice? Would this unlikely path lead to salvation or deeper despair? Jenna stood there, her body pulsing with restless energy as she processed the surreal nature of what had just occurred. With the world around her muted, she focused on Evan's eyes glinting with an intensity that seemed both challenging and inviting. She could feel the weight of his gaze, an unspoken inquiry hanging between them, filling the air with static. In that moment, she noticed Oliver's unrestrained joy as he mirrored Evan's infectious smile. Was this a mere playdate, or could it evolve into something more substantial? As much as her mind scrambled with the possibilities, one question anchored her. Did she have what it took to bridge their disparate worlds? The clamor of the diner had been replaced by the crisp outlines of modernity encapsulating the tech firm. Jenna's heart ached, fueled by the stark contrast between her life and the polished, aspirational aura radiating from Evan's world. Could she, a humble waitress with a child to raise, penetrate the illusions of success that surrounded him? Did that image even matter? Can I help you? Evan's voice cut through her thoughts, jolting her back to the present. Before she could respond, a bold thought cracked through her hesitation. I'm not here to take anything from you. I just want to ask about your experience. Deep breaths integrated more determination than she initially felt. This was her shot. She would not squander it. Experience? Evan tilted his head, intrigue flickering in his expression. In what context? Her stomach churned. In building your career. You're not just the CEO. You've shaped a company that brings innovation to life. I want to learn how to elevate myself and change my story. I want to build something for Oliver. Evan's eyebrows knit together, analyzing her with intensity. She could sense a mix of surprise and, perhaps, admiration. At that moment, a voice spoke from within her, louder and more assured than before. Embrace this. As he leaned back, an impassive look crossed his face. Why should I help you? His tone challenged her, yet a flicker of something new ignited her resolve. Because I will work harder than anyone else. I'm not looking for handouts, that's not how I'm built. I have something to prove, both to myself and to Oliver. I understand that privilege comes with responsibilities, and if you take me seriously, I won't let you down. His silence swelled, weighed down by her words, but instead of flinching, she felt buoyed by the act of voicing her desires. In that blinding moment, her identity began to shift. Evan's eyes narrowed, calculating. If that's truly your intent, I have a project coming up that might use fresh perspectives. But understand this, it won't be easy. You'll need to fight tooth and nail for your place. Jenna nodded resolutely. The apprehension flickering inside her began to ignite into a fierce ambition. I'm ready for it. With that, the barrier between their worlds shifted, even if only slightly. The intermingling of her world with Evan's began to twist in her mind, drawing her closer to her aspirations while distancing her from the shame of her circumstances. Yet she also felt the weight of expectations resting on her shoulders, the fear of failure mixing unwieldy with hope. Just then, a realization struck. She would have to expand her network, seek allies, cultivate connections in this unfamiliar terrain. Trading her apron for ambition meant enlisting support from unexpected corners. As she strode back to her job, the momentum began to stir her thoughts. Who could she reach out to for guidance? What strategies could she employ to build her support system? With each passing minute, she engaged in a mental battle, strategizing her next moves. But what she didn't realize was that the threats of the brewing scandal had also sharpened Evan's focus. Do windows of opportunity open or close based on the actions of others? As uncertainty buzzed in the background of her mind, Jenna was consumed by the urgency of her next steps. Would she be able to navigate this new reality and elevate her life, or would it slip through her fingers once more? The stakes had never felt higher. And in a matter of days she would confront the revelation that could alter the course of her journey and Oliver's future forever. What was lurking just ahead, waiting to challenge everything she had just ignited? Jenna returned to the diner feeling invigorated yet anxious, the weight of her aspirations shifting from a distant dream to a tangible objective. With a vision ignited by Evan's challenge, she resolved to take control of her narrative. If she wanted to alter the trajectory of her life and provide a better future for Oliver, she had to actively seek support that transcended her current reality. Her shifts at the diner began to feel like mere repetitions in a larger plan. Each table she served was a potential contact, each conversation, an opportunity to share her fledgling ambitions. She approached her customers with renewed purpose, engaging them in discussions, not just about their orders but about their careers and experiences. Some were kind, sharing bits of advice. Others offered fleeting glimpses into their lives that illuminated paths Jenna hadn't considered. One afternoon, a couple in their 40s discussed their startup over coffee. The husband, a former software engineer turned entrepreneur, caught her off guard with his animated stories. Jenna found herself asking questions, delving deep into their journey. It became a tangible exchange, her interest igniting their memories. By the time they finished their meal, Jenna had secured an invitation to join their next tech seminar, a gathering full of potential contacts, ideas, and inspiration she needed. The following week, Jenna prepared relentlessly for the seminar. She read industry blogs and brushed up on tech terminology. Anticipation thrummed in her veins as she rehearsed her pitch, about herself, her life, her drive, and her hopes for something greater not just for her but for Oliver. Every late-night conversation with Oliver helped braid their journey, instilling in him the importance of persistence and hard work. On the day of the seminar, she arrived early, feeling the electric buzz of ambition among the attendees. The room was filled with professional suits, tailored blouses, and polished shoes, a stark contrast to her diner uniform. She inhaled deeply, channeling her nerves into a fierce focus. As speakers delved into discussions about innovation, she scribbled notes furiously, hoping to absorb every word. Afterward, her courage wavered as she mingled among the crowd. But the memory of Evan's eyes and his challenge propelled her forward. With each introduction, she recalled her determination. Jenna began sharing her story, emphasizing her desire to create opportunities for Oliver and herself. Each interaction chipped away at her self-doubt, and slowly, she noticed people nodding, intrigued by her narrative. However, amidst her blossoming confidence, a nagging thought crept in. What if this sudden change was simply a facade? Each connection felt precarious, resting on her ability to convince others of her worth. The fear of being seen as just a waitress loomed large, and she wrestled with uncomfortable honesty about her identity. As days turned to weeks, she transformed her approach into action. She reached out to public forums, joined local entrepreneurial groups, and found herself engaging with mentors eager to guide someone as driven as she was. Oliver supported her efforts, seeing the spark of ambition ignite not just in her life, but in theirs together. Just when Jenna finally began to feel a sense of belonging, whispers of discontent about Evan's leadership arose. Rumors swirled about a looming crisis at the company, and Jenna realized her own future was intricately tied to the fluctuations of his world. Could their bond withstand external pressures? Then, like a pebble cast into a still pond, the news broke. Evan was under investigation for allegations that could jeopardize the company. In the aftermath, Jenna's place in this unfolding drama loomed as a volatile uncertainty. The moment of truth was wrapping around her reality like a tightening noose, forcing her to confront not just her aspirations but everything she had worked for. Would her rising connections withstand the tempest? As Jenna prepared to meet Evan amidst the chaos, one question burned. In her mind, could she help reshape the narrative of their connection, or would she find herself swept away by the tides of his impending scandal? The diner was buzzing with the morning rush, clattering dishes and mingled chatter barely penetrating Jenna's focused thoughts. Serving coffee and breakfast orders felt mechanical as she mentally prepared for her conversation with Evan. What would she even say? Would he want to see her as an equal amidst the turmoil his company faced, or would the shadows of doubt eclipse their previous rapport? Rather than allowing her anxiety to engulf her, she turned her energy towards the customers around her. Each interaction became not just a conversation but a learning opportunity. The waitress in her began to meld with the entrepreneur, slowly taking shape, and designs started to grow in her mind, strategies that would elevate her narrative beyond the mundane. A familiar face caught her eye. It was the software engineer from the seminar, along with his wife. They smiled warmly as they entered, and Jenna felt a flicker of recognition blossom into inspiration. This couple had taken the leap from conventional jobs to entrepreneurship, risking stability for the dream. Back for more of our famous pancakes? Jenna quipped as she took their order, her tone light yet determined. They laughed, their positivity fueling her own resolve to carve a path in this world. During their meal, the conversation turned to the recent turmoil at Evan's company. The couple's expressions morphed into concern. They knew how foundational leadership was to a startup. Jenna seized this moment, not to lament but to inquire. She asked them what they deemed essential in uncertain times, how they navigated crises, and more importantly, what it meant to pivot in the face of adversity. With each candid response, Jenna began to understand the double-edged nature of ambition. The couple's insights were bursting with resilience and adaptability, and it sparked within her a realization: to transform one's life, One must not just ride the waves but learn how to create them. That very moment seemed to converge with Jenna's rising fear about her future. What if Evan's impending scandal created a ripple effect that dashed her aspirations along with his? Yet, as the engineer spoke about starting anew during financial strain, it dawned on her that there was potential to turn this adversity into an opportunity for herself. If Evan's pathway crumbled, could her burgeoning network serve as a lifeline? After serving them, Jenna slipped into the back room, her mind racing. She drafted rough plans in the margins of her notepad, a proposal for a project that linked the skills she'd developed in the diner customer service, resilience, rapid problem-solving with the insights she gleaned from the couple and her entrepreneurial idols. Confrontation with Evan loomed like a storm on the horizon, but it fueled her. Her vision transformed from mere survival into something greater. She would approach Evan with clarity, driven not just by her loyalty, but a newfound sense of purpose. If she could harness their shared passions and juxtapose her aspirations against his turmoil, perhaps they could forge a path forward together, a way to bolster his company while elevating her status beyond the diner. She daydreamed of scenarios where they could collaborate. What if they could create an initiative that addressed the gaps within his struggling company? The thought enthralled her. Every bold answer replaced whispers of doubt, propelling her toward the looming confrontation. As she gathered her breath, feeling the reality of the moment settle into her bones, Jenna made a decision. She would not sit idly by waiting for the storm to pass, she would step into the eye of it with purpose. When her shift was finally over, she made her way out into the night, steeling herself for a dialogue that could amend more than just Evan's company. It could redefine both their lives. But just as she arrived at the door to his office, her heart racing at the possibilities ahead, an urgent message pinged on her phone. It was a notification about the unfolding events, details alarmingly familiar and intimately tied to her aspirations. The weight of what lay ahead tightened around her throat. Was this the end before it even began? Jenna froze in front of Evan's office, her phone buzzing incessantly in her hand. The message glared at her, warning of impending developments she hadn't anticipated. Panic surged through her. It felt as though the world had shifted beneath her feet. The scandal, once a distant whisper, was now a tidal wave threatening to consume not just Evan's company but her carefully laid plans. For a moment she stood there, torn between two paths. The decision to press forward and confront Evan felt like a gamble, yet retreating meant abandoning her chance to take control of her narrative. Steeling herself, she took a deep breath and pressed the door open. Evan looked up from his desk, his features reflecting both urgency and weariness. The weight of the world seemed to rest on his shoulders. "Jenna," he said, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Evan," she replied, striving to keep her voice steady. She could see the tension etched on his face, and felt a jolt of empathy. He, too, was at a crossroads. "I received a message about the situation. I think we need to talk." "Yes, we do." His voice was grave as he gestured to the chair across from him. As she settled into her seat, the cacophony and the din of her thoughts grew louder. She wanted to help him not just as an employee but as a partner in navigating this storm. "You know, the last few weeks have been challenging," Evan began, his words heavy with uncertainty. "I can imagine," Jenna interjected gently. "I spoke to that couple at the diner today about crisis management. Their insights got me thinking perhaps there's a way we could rethink your approach. What if we pivoted the focus towards re-establishing trust within the team and with our customers?" He raised an eyebrow, intrigued yet cautious. "And how would you propose we do that?" Jenna leaned forward, excitement bubbling beneath her composed exterior. "We could implement transparent communication channels, engage with our community, perhaps even initiate a project that highlights our accountability. Something tangible that reassures your stakeholders that we're taking this seriously." As she spoke, she could see Evan's initial skepticism slowly transform into contemplation. "You really think they'd buy it?" "No," she said decisively. "But I believe in the vision we can create together. You've built something worth salvaging. Let us craft a narrative that reflects that." "Together?" he mused, a flicker of hope igniting in his gaze. "Yes," Jenna affirmed. "This isn't just about your company anymore. It's about redefining leadership in the face of adversity. We can lead by example, owning the crisis instead of letting it consume us. A moment of silence stretched between them, thick with possibility. Jenna could see the wheels turning in Evan's mind, her thoughts racing along with him. This wasn't just her moment, it was his, too. They could both redefine their roles, reapproach their realities, transforming the turmoil into a stepping stone for growth. Evan ran a hand through his hair, relief visibly washing over him. If we were to follow through, what resources would you need? Support from the team, an outline of our goals, and a commitment to transparency, she replied. But most importantly, I need you to be open to collaboration. This would require us both to step out of our comfort zones. She watched as Evan nodded, his uncertainty slowly replaced by determination. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once, a partnership blooming amid chaos, where both could redefine their paths. But as the conversation deepened, and Jenna felt herself rising to the challenge, her phone buzzed again. The notification echoed ominously in the silence, pulling her attention away from Evan's encouraging words. With a heavy heart, she picked up her device, uncertainty flooding back. The headlines of the message threatened to engulf them both, and for the first time since stepping into Evan's office, she felt the chill of reality pierce through her resolve. What is it? Evan's voice sliced through her thoughts. Her throat tightened as she read. It's bad. This could change everything. The air in the office thickened, the weight of their decisions becoming palpable. This was undoubtedly the pivotal moment they both needed to confront, but now the stakes were even higher. Jenna's heart raced. The time had come to dig deeper, not just into their plans but into their very core. Could she lead them both out of this abyss, or would fate push them both over the edge? Jenna stared at her phone, the screen illuminating her worried expression as she braced for the fallout from the looming scandal. The previous optimism swirling in the office felt like a flickering candle in a tempest. Evan's gaze fell to the floor, visibly grappling with the encroaching crisis. She knew they needed to act quickly, but clarity wasn't coming easily. Evan, she said, deliberately lowering her voice, this is about control. We have to regain it before the narrative escapes us. Control, he echoed, the syllable heavy with doubt. What if we can't turn this around? What if transparency backfires? Jenna felt the weight of his fears but recognized an opportunity buried within them. If we don't act, the uncertainty will kill our credibility. Our stakeholders need to see that we can handle adversity. It's a chance to show our commitment. Evan looked up, his expression shifting. There was a flicker of determination igniting behind his eyes. Then we'll start with a radical change. We won't just be reactive, we'll be proactive. You mean it? Jenna's heart quickened at the spark of his resolve. You're ready to put yourself out there? Let us craft a message that reflects accountability. We'll set up town hall meetings. I'll explain the situation, face to face. It's time the leadership owned the mess. The air thickened with possibility. It was a strategic risk, and Jenna could sense the odds shifting. That's brilliant. But you can't do it alone. We need a unified front. My role is to support you. Let us clear the path for everyone to voice their concerns and ideas. Right, Evan said. You'll lead the charge on the communications side while I take the heat. Jenna felt exhilarated, but beneath it lay an undercurrent of anxiety. The potential for failure loomed large. What if this still crumbled? Each decision hinged on their ability to connect with a team that felt lost. And what if the team perceives this as a mere PR stunt? Evan nodded, brow furrowing. That's why I need you to help me craft our story. It has to resonate, it must be authentic. Her heart began to race, and she could feel the strategic wheels turning in her mind. This was where she thrived, turning crisis into an opportunity for storytelling and rebranding. Let us draft a message that acknowledges our missteps, while also illuminating the path forward. Vulnerability will invite connection. Then we'll work together through this. This moment felt monumental. They weren't just addressing a scandal. They were forging a partnership rooted in openness and shared responsibility. I'll schedule a team meeting to get input before we finalize it. It's crucial to incorporate their voices. As they pondered their next steps, Jenna's phone vibrated again. She hesitated, dread settling into her stomach. The notifications didn't hold good news, but she couldn't avoid it forever. She turned her phone over, trying to suppress her unease. The message can wait. Let us focus on how we can bring everyone together. Evan agreed, the tension in the room shifting toward a collaborative focus. They spent the next hour outlining their strategy, outlining Evan's impending speech, crafting messaging that would resonate with the company, stakeholders, and even the community. This meant stepping outside of their comfort zones, tackling fears head-on, and transforming their professional landscape. Jenna felt a surge of empowerment as they sketched out the framework, but the specter of doubt lingered. Then, as Evan left to prepare his thoughts for the team meeting, a breakthrough thought struck her. What if their approach not only salvaged the current situation but evolved their entire company culture? But the idea was terrifying. What awaited them in the meeting? Could they garner the support necessary to execute these plans? Jenna's heart thudded in her chest. As uncertainty loomed, so did the potential for staggering change. Could they inspire loyalty amidst chaos, or would their efforts spiral into failure? The time to test their courage was fast approaching. The question remained, was she ready to lead this charge, knowing the immense risks involved? Jenna took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. The stakes were higher than they had ever been, and the path forward was murky at best. As she gathered her thoughts for the meeting, she reflected on what truly mattered: trust. They needed to restore it, not just with their stakeholders, but also within their own team. When Evan stepped into the room, Jenna could see a newfound determination etched on his face. It was contagious. She admired his willingness to face the music but knew that words alone wouldn't be enough. The team needed to feel a genuine commitment, not just hear it. "Are you ready?" she asked, scanning the room. "Ready as I'll ever be," he replied, but Jenna could sense the subtle tremor behind his facade of confidence. It reminded her of her own fears, the nagging voice in her head that questioned whether they could truly pull this off. As the team filtered in, Jenna took note of the hesitant expressions on their faces. There was palpable tension. It was a moment of reckoning, and she could feel the pressure mounting. With each passing moment, she recognized the complexities of leading amidst doubt and despair. "Let us kick things off by addressing the elephant in the room," Evan began. He stood at the front, visibly trying to project calm, though Jenna could see anxiety coursing behind his eyes. "We're here to talk about the recent events that have affected our company. I want to be transparent about the mistakes we made and what we're doing to fix them." Jenna watched as he delivered their carefully crafted message. She noted the way he emphasized accountability, the passion with which he insisted on collective responsibility. Each word was a step toward rebuilding what had been broken. Yet as she looked around, she noticed that not everyone was convinced. Skepticism lingered like a shadow in the room. Jenna stood up, determined to bolster Evan's message with her own. "I understand many of you feel uncertain right now, and that's valid. But we have a chance here not just to recover, but to fundamentally change our culture. Let us take this moment to cultivate a workplace that prioritizes openness and teamwork." As she spoke, Jenna was surprised by the conviction in her own voice. It dawned on her that this was not merely Evan's fight, it was hers too. The fear that gripped her moments ago gradually melted, replaced by a sense of shared purpose. She truly believed in the potential for their actions to resonate beyond mere rhetoric. But doubt still flickered in the corners of her consciousness. What if they failed to inspire change? Should they have opened themselves up so publicly? Just as she wrestled with these questions, a hand shot up from the back of the room. It was one of the junior associates. "I appreciate what you're saying, but what's to stop us from ending up in this same mess again? It feels like a lot of talk without substantial action." Jenna felt her heart skip. This was the direct confrontation she'd anticipated but never truly wanted. She opened her mouth to respond, feeling the pressure of expectations swell around her. She wanted to reassure the team, to show them that they were moving forward together. But deep inside, the fear of failure gripped her. How could she promise them change when so much felt out of her control? Evan looked at her, a silent nod of encouragement, urging her to engage. "You're right," she finally said, realizing the power of honesty. "We need to demonstrate our commitment through concrete actions. Let us invite everyone here to contribute to setting benchmarks. Your voices matter, and we must hold ourselves accountable together." As the meeting progressed, Jenna felt the tides beginning to shift. Where once there had been doubt, there now swirled whispers of hope. And yet, the question lingered, would their new momentum be enough? Would the actions they proposed transform their company culture, or would it all evaporate under pressure? As they wrapped up the meeting, Jenna couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that they were just at the beginning. Transformation required more than intent. It needed unwavering resolve and continuous authenticity. Stepping back into her office, Jenna contemplated what lay ahead. How would they implement accountability in practical terms? And more importantly, could she truly influence this change within herself, along with the company? She had a sense that the hurdles were only beginning, and the road would test her mettle. But in the chaos, a new conviction stirred in her. This wasn't just about salvage. It was about evolution. As she put pen to paper to outline actionable steps, an urgent notification pinged on her phone, an unexpected obstacle that would test everything they had just pledged. The next chapter of their story was about to unfold. Would Jenna be ready to face it? The notification on Jenna's phone buzzed again, pulling her from her thoughts. She glanced at the screen, her pulse quickening at the sight of a message from the corporate office. There had been a data breach. Sensitive information had been leaked, and the fallout could potentially devastate their reputation. Panic surged, but she forced herself to breathe deeply. This was a moment that demanded clarity and decisive action. She could either allow uncertainty to paralyze her or lean into her newfound determination to lead. Whatever gut reaction she had to suppress it. This was not about her fears but about the larger responsibility she held. Taking a deep breath, she forced the creeping anxiety to the back of her mind and turned her focus outward. She quickly gathered her notes and called an impromptu meeting. The urgency of the situation required not just action but a cohesive team response. As her colleagues filed into the room, Jenna felt a familiar weight pressing on her chest. She was standing on the precipice of increased responsibility. Her decisions would shape not just the next steps, but the very culture she envisioned them building. "Everyone," Jenna began, her voice steady despite her internal turmoil. "We have a serious situation on our hands. Our company has experienced a data breach that could impact our clients and stakeholders significantly. We need a plan, and we need it now." Hands shot up, faces reflecting the concern of the moment. Questions bounced off the walls. What information had been compromised? Could they assure clients of their data security moving forward? Each inquiry fueled Jenna's growing sense of urgency. As discussion spiraled, her gaze fell on Evan. He seemed to read her thoughts as they exchanged a glance, both understanding that this was a pivotal hour to solidify their commitment to transparency and accountability. "I propose that we be upfront with our clients about what has transpired and how we plan to address it," Evan suggested. His voice bore a weight that spoke of trust and reliability. "We can't erase what happened, but we can control the narrative moving forward." Jenna saw in Evan's proposal an opportunity to put into action their commitment to honesty. They could reshape this crisis into a crucible for change, embodying the core values they had begun to foster. "That's a solid starting point," she affirmed, feeling emboldened. "We need to write a communication that not only informs our clients but also lays out the steps we are taking to secure their data. Alongside that, we should establish a task force that includes representatives from each department. Transparency doesn't stop after we inform our clients, it's a continuous journey." As the meeting progressed, Jenna was struck by the shifting dynamics within her team. The initial fear and uncertainty transformed into focused collaboration. Ideas flowed, roles were defined, and a palpable determination filled the air. It was exhilarating to witness. It was the embodiment of the culture she had envisaged. But even amidst this collective resolve, shadows of doubt lurked in her mind. Could their efforts suppress the damage already done? Could they truly recover from this chaos? After the meeting, Jenna retreated to her office, her heart racing. She needed to fortify herself, to stay steadfast in her role as a leader, not just in crisis management, but in changing the narrative of their company culture. This moment pressed her to confront her own limitations. She scoured her notes, outlining the immediate steps they had discussed, but a nagging voice whispered, urging her to look beyond the immediate issue. She needed to deepen her own leadership skills, to empower those around her, and to foster the kind of environment where crises could be met with confidence, not fear. Suddenly, the phone buzzed again, displaying a follow-up notification that sent shivers down her spine. The media had caught wind of the breach, and a report was brewing that painted a sordid picture of their company. Jenna's breath hitched, the gravity of the moment sinking in. The time had come to face the consequences of their missteps, and she had to decide how to act swiftly before the narrative spiraled farther out of control. Would she take the next step toward transformation, or would she succumb to the mounting pressures threatening to overtake her? As she stared at the screen, Jenna realized the fight was just beginning. How she chose to respond would not only affect her career but determine the very fate of the company she was desperately working to salvage. Jenna's heart raced as she sat at her desk, the harsh light of her office illuminating her furrowed brow. The urgency of the situation gnawed at her, but she needed to take control and formulate a coherent strategy amidst the looming chaos. She pored over her notes again, her fingers drumming the table, the rhythm echoing her internal conflict. Just moments ago, she had been surrounded by her team's burgeoning collaboration, and now it felt like a fragile construct teetering on the edge of collapse. Each passing second amplified her doubts. Were they truly equipped to handle this crisis? She resisted the temptation to succumb to despair, reminding herself that this was her chance to galvanize her team into transformative action. Steeling her resolve, Jenna grabbed the phone and dialed Evan. As he picked up, she cut straight to the point. "We need to draft a press release that not only addresses the breach but reflects our commitment to our clients. They need to know that we value their trust above all." "Absolutely." Evan's voice resonated with agreement. "I can start drafting a statement that covers our immediate steps and the task force we're forming. But we should also emphasize the oversight that led to this breach and how we aim to prevent it in the future." A flicker of recognition ignited within Jenna. She realized that transparency about their shortcomings was just as vital as reassuring clients about future security measures. "Let us be candid, Evan. Being vague won't serve us. Our clients deserve the truth, even if it's uncomfortable." "I agree," he replied, an edge of determination surfacing in his tone. "I'll start working on a draft that highlights our commitment to rectifying our missteps." Once they hung up, Jenna gathered herself, feeling a rock-solid weight settle over her heart, an assurance that clarity could indeed emerge from the chaos. She began to outline the statement herself. Every word mattered. Could she convey vulnerability without compromising their credibility? As ideas flowed, she began to see the outlines of a narrative that could shift their current crisis into an opportunity for growth. This wasn't just about damage control, it was a chance to galvanize their company's ethos, pushing the boundaries of how they perceived transparency and accountability. The colors of her vision shifted from uncertainty to determination. She envisioned a company renowned for integrity, not just brilliance. But with the clock ticking and the media breathing down their necks, they had to execute swiftly and effectively. With a sense of purpose ignited, she walked back into the open office, ready to share her vision. "Listen up, everyone," Jenna called, her voice commanding the room, drawing the eyes of her colleagues. "We're not just facing a data breach. We are at a crossroads. We can either cower in fear or rise to the occasion. Our clients deserve honesty and accountability, and that's exactly what we're going to give them." The room hushed, energy crackling as Jenna continued. "We're forming a task force with representation from each department. Everyone will have a role in shaping our response and rebuilding trust. I will need each of you to dig deep and bring your best ideas to the table together. We can turn this around." As she finished speaking, a quiet determination filled the air, the fear dissipating and giving way to newfound purpose. Each member of the team began to murmur ideas and solutions as creativity surged, fostering a collaborative spirit. Yet even as a wave of enthusiasm cascaded over the team, Jenna's mind remained layered with complexity. Were they truly prepared for the repercussions of disclosing their failures? What if her ambition to reshape their company's values was too idealistic? Before she could spiral into doubt, Evan approached her, a concerned yet resolute look on his face. Jenna, I believe in what you're trying to achieve here, but we need to be prepared for pushback from upper management. They may not appreciate such raw honesty, especially so soon after this breach. Jenna felt a knot in her stomach. Was she prepared to face pushback from the very leadership she aimed to impress with her fearless vulnerability? Not just for her sake, but for her team and their collective ambition. It was a bitter reality check, leaving her grappling with the implications of her decisions. As she pondered the potential fallout, Jenna understood that the fight for the company's future and her own professional integrity required more than just courage. It demanded foresight and negotiation, compelling her to engage with the higher-ups head-on. Determined to face the corporate giants, she stood tall, ready to defend not just her vision, but the values she had invoked in her team. Would they rally alongside her, or would she find herself isolated, choosing to confront these looming challenges head-on? Jenna prepared to present her ideas to the executive board. This moment would not only be pivotal for her career but could redefine the very essence of the organization. The stakes were high, yet her resolve had never felt clearer. Little did she know, the real battle was just beginning, and the path to authentic leadership would pose even greater tests of her core values. How would she reconcile idealism with the harsh realities of corporate governance? Jenna stood at the precipice of her dreams, a whirlwind of determination coursing through her veins as she prepared to stand before the executive board. Gone was the timid waitress. Before them stood a woman armed with conviction and the fire to reshape the narrative that surrounded her life and her company. Weeks of strategizing, executing, and navigating the depths of uncertainty had transformed her from an observer of her destiny into an active creator of it. As she adjusted her blazer, she recalled that chaotic day when she first stumbled into Evan's office, and how that misstep had sparked the beginning of this journey. It was a moment that awakened a previously dormant ambition within her. She remembered the weight of doubt that once threatened to crush her spirit. Today, that weight felt replaced with the buoyancy of possibility. As she stepped into the boardroom, the long table filled with stern faces reflected the high stakes they faced. "Thank you, everyone, for coming on short notice," Evan started, his voice steady yet infused with a hint of apprehension. "We need to act decisively in light of the data breach we've experienced." Jenna took a moment to reel in her nerves, recalling every interaction that had brought her here, the impactful conversations with her diners, the mentoring from the tech couples, and even the challenge posed by Evan. Each experience had layered her confidence, solidifying her resolve to lead. "While we will address the breach seriously and transparently," Jenna interjected, seizing her moment, "we have an opportunity today. We can pivot from merely responding to criticism to re-establishing trust with our clients and employees." The room's atmosphere shifted as heads nodded with interest. "Jenna, can you elaborate on that?" one of the board members asked, the curiosity in their expressions marking a significant contrast from their earlier sternness. "Absolutely," she continued, igniting with fervor. "It starts with our commitment to accountability. We need to be open about what happened, not only in our communications but also in the actions we take moving forward. I propose we form a task force for transparency, which includes representatives from each department. This will encourage cross-pollination of ideas and make every employee a stakeholder in the recovery process." As she spoke, Jenna felt the earnestness of her vision reverberate through the room. No longer was she afraid of being dismissed as just a waitress. She had proven her value through grit and hard work. She was challenging assumptions with her influence solidifying as the embodiment of their vision for a company grounded in integrity. The room once filled with skepticism began stirring. The board members exchanged glances, some jotting down notes, with newfound urgency. Jenna seized this momentum, outlining her roadmap for not just policy implementation but cultural evolution. "And as we move forward, let us engage our clients directly," she decided in that moment, channeling her strength. "We can reach out with an honest letter explaining our missteps, coupled with a promise to uphold the values of transparency going forward. This isn't just about fixing the breach, it's about redefining what it means to be a leader amid turmoil. Evan's eyes widened in astonishment, admiration building as he recognized the force of transformation sitting before him. The discomfort of their past seemed to evaporate within the urgency of the present. I think we should write in our communication that we also plan to host a town hall where clients can give us their feedback directly, Evan proposed, inspired by Jenna's vision. Jenna felt the swell of hope within her, seamlessly blending their ideas to birth a unified solution rooted in collaboration. As they crafted a comprehensive action plan, Jenna's core value of empowerment surged anew. This was more than an opportunity to salvage reputation. It was a launching pad to elevate the very culture of their workplace. After refinement, and with the board's support, the initial communication hit inboxes. In the weeks that followed, Jenna monitored replies and began to engage with skeptical clients, cultivating relationships rooted in reciprocity. Each conversation bore fruit, gradually transforming fear into trust, ambiguity into clarity. Jenna manifested a vision that reflected resilience, acceptance, and forward momentum. Months later, in the wake of media attention around their transformed corporate culture, Jenna received a call from a prominent business journal. "We'd like to feature your story, a case study on overcoming crisis through empowered leadership," the reporter said. Jenna hung up, her heart pounding. They wanted to share her journey. This moment could be both cathartic and fruitful. It felt surreal to realize that not only had she risen above her past constraints, but she had emerged as a beacon of hope for others. Reflecting on her initial days, she chuckled softly, envisioning that waitress biting her nails over fast food orders, feeling trapped. Here she stood, fulfilling dreams while crafting new ones not just for herself, but for Oliver, who would soon see a world transformed through his mother's resilience. In that instant, Jenna recognized her triumph. She was not merely surviving, she was thriving. She had accomplished the goal she set out for herself, transformation. As she looked into the future, confident and empowered, she knew that she would continue to strive for more. This was her story, and she would write each line with purpose. The time had come for her to harness the winds of change, and step boldly into the future. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters. Comment below your reactions and theories about this jaw-dropping ending. And of course, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to show your support. This is the moment. Don't wait even one more second to share.